It's a pleasure to be amongst you all today, this week, Brighton SEO Week. Okay, so it will be a bit of an interactive session today. We've got a few prizes to give away, so I will be asking some questions as we go along. So hopefully you do listen to what I'm saying, and then you'll be able to participate and win a few prizes. So the theme of the session is really about the power of real-time bidding in the retail space, right? Especially with Google Shopping ads, with Pmax, the challenges which I'm sure some of you have already faced. So I'll do a quick intro into Shopping IQ and then an even quicker intro into myself, and then we'll go into the details. So with Shopping IQ, so IQ Group, there's I guess a few different brands that fall under that group. So Shopping IQ, which we'll be talking about today, specifically how retail brands are wasting thousands of pounds on Google Shopping ads, and in some cases, some of the major brands are not even quite aware of exactly what's going on and why. Brighton SEO Week, so we also have SEO IQ, but I won't be talking about that today in detail. Social IQ, and also completely kind of outside of the shopping space of Google is Social 442, which is another brand part of the group, which is a football social network, which is in beta at the moment. So if you do have any sports brands or any interest in that, let me know. The beta for ads is starting in August, ahead of just before the new season starts, football season starts. Myself, about 17 years experience. I've worked at a number of different agencies, global ones, independent ones, and technology, Social 442, and then Shopping IQ. But one thing which I've learned over the time is that there's lots of ways to do the same thing. Each PPC expert will have a different opinion, a different way of implementing something, but it's really important to be open-minded and embrace different ideas and ways of implementing PPC tactics. Okay, so we're focusing on today's session about specifically some key issues with Google. Some of these issues which Google just don't really talk about, especially if you have quarterly reviews, QBRs. It's not something they typically say, so hopefully this will be refreshing. I think you all know the importance of Google. It's an entry point for the purchase decision and journey, both shopping ads and search. But the issue is that when it comes to Google Ads, the platform isn't really designed for retail. Right? It's a platform which is designed for everyone, whether you're sports, finance, it could be absolutely anything. So this is where I think Shopping IQ comes in, and you'll be able to see some of the interesting opportunities that come with that. So just before I go into some of that, I think what's really important is that as PPC experts, sometimes we just need to take a step back and start to just go into the headspace of a retailer. And sometimes that is a challenge, because actually if you work with a lot of retailers, if you think about the retail marketing managers who you might be working with, a lot of them have never actually worked in a retail store. So they've got a lot of experience online, and they've migrated their experience into the retail position that they've had. So I'm going to ask a few questions here. I guess it's important, because what I'm going to talk about next, we just need to come out of that sort of take off our PPC hat and think more like a retail founder potentially. So, a few questions. In this case, so if we have a brand new, flashy new store appear in a high street which is slightly more affluent than maybe average. So we have an example where someone took over it could be a restaurant, a retail store. It's a flashy new store that appears on this high street. They've invested about £100,000, and this is based on a true scenario. And what happened next, right? So how does it actually perform? But sadly, in these cases, what happened, someone spent £100,000, renovated it, but it just looked too expensive for the area. So people just walked past and went for a cheap alternative, and people didn't actually walk in. And the store just sadly failed. It just looked too expensive for the area. And this goes into audience, so with Pmax, all the different audiences that you can utilize and leverage. Also the visuals, if you think Google Shopping is primarily, it's a unlike standard search, it's a visual-based environment, right? So if you think about your imagery and how you can affect that in real time. So some examples might be if you only have one product left in stock, or two left in stock, potentially you could incorporate that directly into your ad copy. Hurry, only one left, create a bit of urgency in order to help stand out. But visuals and imagery in Google Shopping, I think is something very underrated, and it's something that you'll probably see more of. There's something that we incorporate in real time in order to be able to stand out from the crowd. In this case, I actually gave you the answer, but in the next one, but in the next one. Okay, so in another scenario, we have a successful baby store on your high street. You're a competitor, you're starting out. So would you open a new store in the same area or somewhere else with a similar demographic profile? So hands up if it would be the same area. And hands up if it's in a new area. Okay, so there was more hands up for the new area. And it's the same sort of answer I would have given, but actually, I mean, obviously, like I said at the beginning, there's lots of ways to do the same thing, so it's an open answer, but generally speaking, the answer is the same area, right? Because the demand is already there. Similar to, I guess, even going back into how this event was organized, there was an SEO event going on in Brighton, and then you attached the PPC event towards it. So the same sort of concept. But initially, I would have gone with another area too. But yeah, how it translates online in this particular instance is almost like with startups and some of the challenges that come with startups, but definitely leveraging the demand that's already available. If it's successful, then definitely attach yourself to that. It's just a safer option for startups. Okay, and then we all love a sale when it comes to retail. When I was a student, I actually worked for Barrett's shoe store. I don't know if anyone remembers them. But yeah, so when there was a sale, let's say the store opened at 10 a.m., so there would be an overnight shift. And a couple of times I did that. You go in literally at 10 p.m., you're working overnight to make sure each and every single shoe has the price tag attached to it. It was hard work, it was really difficult. But as soon as this 10 a.m. happened, the sale started, people started coming in, and you're benefiting from the sale period from the beginning. So who updates their, given where we are now with the technology and AI and all this type of thing, who updates their sale pricing or price drops faster? You think it's an offline store or your digital websites? It depends, I think someone said.
Depends who manages the account.
On average. I'm sure if it's you, it'd be your website. But on average, just a show of hand for offline store. Okay, and a show of hands for online store. Probably about 50-50 is the response. Well, in most cases, it's an offline store. You'll be surprised, and I'll go into some examples. So this is how it actually translates online. So yeah, it's definitely an offline store, and online retailers, websites are not necessarily the websites, your advertising campaigns rather than the website itself. The website will just go, the sale will happen when it happens, but sorry, my thinking was more in terms of your ads, the reflection of the ads, right? So this website here by Charles and Keith, does anyone work with them or know of them? Okay, so we had to choose a few examples, so no offense to anyone, but so this sale starts at 9 a.m. Is it play? Okay, I've just started to play this, but as you'll see, if I can control this, the original price there is £79, and the original price was £79. It's actually on sale, but the sale ad that you saw there was £79 in the ad copy, right? There was no mention of a sale. but you'll see it's live there. So what does that mean? There's a lost opportunity in terms of click-through rate, conversion rate, right? And you're just not standing out. And in some, basically, the average amount of time it takes for a retailer to update their ads, their feed rather, when it comes to price copies, is about 24 hours. Right? It's a once a day update, it's an XML update, something like that, and it takes 24 hours. Even at that point, once you update your XML feed, it doesn't necessarily mean that the price updates happen immediately. It can still take up to a further 24 hours to actually reflect live. So it could be up to 48 hours. Right, that's worst case scenario, but 24 is the sort of starting point onwards. So yeah, I mean, in itself, so we were working all night to get the price drops live for install, but in this case, Charles and Keith, in this case, just weren't able to get their price drops live into their ads quickly enough. Another good example of this, if you think about Black Friday, how sensitive it is, how time sensitive it is, every hour is really, really important. Every minute is really, really important. Right? And that's where kind of Shopping IQ comes in. It actually makes sure it's a sort of end-to-end shopping platform. So it leverages the power of real time into your bidding strategies, into your campaigns, to make sure everything is updated in real time. This is equally important when it comes to stock. Right? Does anyone here work on Argos? Or from, okay, again, just another example, but they're particularly bad at this. So when equally pricing is important, but so is stock, right? So this SKU it's just gone out of stock right now, right? But if you're searching for it, the ad's still there. People will still click on it, right? You can only guess how much this ad might cost. £1, £2 to be in the third or fourth position. This is also over Black Friday, right? Cost per clicks are heightened. Every minute counts, right? And they've literally just wasted an ad click. And literally in the same example there's another example of Amazon actually having an outdated price point. But the important thing here is just, if you're spending, I'm trying to control this, but regardless, I'll let the video roll, but if you just think about the number of products that you have over a period of time, how many clicks are you wasting on out-of-stock products? Right? How much of your budget is being wasted? Google won't talk about this, it's not within their interests. It's quite difficult to actually make it real time because you have to connect into the back end and there's a lot of pressure on servers and things like that, but it's really important to be aware of if you want to transform your campaigns and take them to the next level. There's various different benefits. In Google Merchant Center, you might get disapprovals because Google will every now and again crawl your website, compare it against your feed, and disapprove the product. So imagine your products are getting disapproved during Black Friday. Right? Google do have this feature called automatic improvements, which is supposed to try and mitigate this, but we basically just turn it off because it tends to make things worse. Okay. And then again, with the power of real time is leveraging multi-channel data. So I think there was a good point made earlier on about sort of SEO and PPC teams. So when it comes to real-time bidding, I mean, all of this is really about incrementality. There is Performance Max that is obviously, it uses bidding, uses different data points, but it doesn't use all your business data. It doesn't use second-party or third-party data as much as you could in order to elevate your campaigns. So things like you can make part of your strategy when it comes to retail products is there'll be certain products which are doing well organically anyway. Right? So why are you spending so much money on those products? There'll be products which are high stock products, but just not getting any support from any organic channel, and those are products that you could be pushing harder, I suppose, right? And products which are already doing really well organically, you don't need to be pushing as hard. So I'm sure if you've worked across PPC and SEO, you would have come up with strategies about how you can use the two to make them more effective. But what this does, it will incorporate that into your bidding approach in real time. again, as an additional layer or additional layer of targeting. Same goes, I've just literally given you some examples here, but same goes with competitor data. So the ability to track all your competitor data in the same platform. There'll be certain products which are doing really well. It might just be because you're cheaper, right? There'll be products which are just not doing really well at all. Again, you're just more expensive. So it's really important to have that insight in a way that you can access it immediately. So you're viewing, so if you just imagine putting your kind of reports, product level reports, being able to understand, you see your ROIs, you see your click-through rates, but what you don't really see attached to it is the competitor data, right? In some cases, there's no point pushing products when you're just too expensive. So that, again, that's something else that you can leverage into the real-time bidding approach. Again, just adding in additional bits of data. So high profit margin. Products which are high profit margin don't need to have the same ROAS targets as products which are low profit margin, right? So being able to incorporate something a bit more sophisticated, building these additional layers into your real-time bidding approach and trying to elevate what you can achieve rather than just relying on Performance Max. So very much what I'm saying is like an overlay of Performance Max. It's not sort of starting again or kind of scratching that because that has its benefits. It's just extra layers of control to be able to reach your objectives more effectively and more efficiently. And also, I just thought I'd quickly mention it. People have different views on CSS and Google, on CSS and the power of that. Does anyone here use a CSS? It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts after in terms of what effectiveness that's had on your campaigns in terms of lowering cost per clicks. But something I just wanted to clarify is that there's this, when it comes to CSS, and it's something we're trying to put right, is that it's advertised as just a 20% discount on your cost per clicks, right? For those who don't know about it, is Google got taken to court, I can't remember, quite a few years ago by the EU courts, and it was enforced upon them to basically provide CSSs or Google CSS partners roughly a 20% discount on cost per clicks. So if you are running Google Shopping campaigns, it's definitely something to consider because in theory you should be paying less by using a CSS, right? So no brainer, it's really easy to implement. But actually what happens, it's not a 20% discount, it's 20% more bidding power, right? Which is a completely different thing. So if your bid is £1, it will be equivalent to £1.20. So why not? It's like, not here to sell it, but it's really cheap. CSSs, they don't cost that much, right? It's cheap enough to use. But if your bid is £1, it'd make it equivalent to £1.20. So what people are expecting is that if you have a CSS of £1, then all your spend just goes down by 20%. What you'll probably actually realize what would happen is that your CPCs might actually go up, right? And the reason being is because you're getting 20% more bidding power. So your bid is now £1.20 when it was £1. So you're actually getting more impressions and more clicks on about the same sort of CPC, right? Whereas, so actually your spend will increase where you're actually expecting your spend to reduce. So something I can clarify afterwards, but if you aren't using a CSS, it's definitely worth considering.